That being said, I am gonna let one story derail me because it made me so unbelievably angry as I was about to go live with this show. And so, you know what? We're hopping into a segment, everybody. Just remember, like the stream, hit the follow button on Twitch, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, do the things, hit the buttons, share it around, do your bit. Consider dropping those subs and donos, but here we go. Buckle in. So, folks, you know how there's a news outlet called the New York Times, right? I just really want to emphasize to you guys that a lot of the best news coverage you're gonna get is not in the mainstream news apparatuses. And like, I think I found the thing that will really hammer this home to basically everyone. Okay? And it's a news piece published today at 5:36 p.m. Eastern Time. So not that long ago. But this piece made me so unbelievably irate that I have to go over it with you guys. Okay? I have to. And I do apologize because honestly no one should ever expose the New York Times to anybody cuz oh god, it's like a disease. But you'll have to forgive me. I need to inoculate you, okay? Here we go. Canada as the 51st state? In electoral terms, Trump's idea favors Democrats. And if you're like, Jack, why are you reading it like that? Why are you reading it in a goofy voice? Because this is basically the amount of goofiness you have to have in order to write a headline like that, dog. Like, I'm sorry. In what world do you think America goes and invades one of its closest allies and you keep electoral democracy? Like, genuine question. How cooked does your brain have to be where you're like, you see, you haven't thought of the electoral consequences of invading Canada, you fools, you buffoons? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me with this right now? It should all sound like the SpongeBob mocking voice. It really should, because it is honestly, oh my god. Bringing Canada into the United States, however farcical the prospect may seem, would alter the political map in a way likely to cost Republicans. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me with this right now? Oh yeah, dog. Yeah, we'll definitely enfranchise the country we just took over. Are you fucking kidding me? The New York Times. What are you doing? Like, I know that this is supposed to be to the lowest common denominator in the fancy cocktail circuit, but like, this is truly like pea-brained shit. Like, you can't even call this journalism. This is I don't know, like literary diarrhea. This is like watching someone who calls themselves a journalist take a shit in their pants while picking their nose, completely oblivious to like everything happening around them. Like, are you kidding me? Peter Baker, a man who has the audacity under this headline to call himself a reporter reporting in from Washington. Diarrhea has substance. You're right. I apologize to diarrhea fans everywhere. As President Trump looks north and repeatedly presses his case to absorb Canada as the 51st state, politically minded Democrats who are otherwise outraged by almost everything else about his agenda find themselves contemplating a potential electoral boon, should it ever happen. Fuck you, Peter! What the fuck are you doing? What do you mean? This is honestly, like, if you told me this was written by like somebody who was the product of 12 generations of inbreeding, I'd believe you. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Dog! Yeah, do you think, hey guys, do you think that maybe invading Canada might have some potential political benefits? What are you doing? How is your political analysis this bad? You could literally get the guy in a tinfoil hat down at your local, like, drugstore corner to give you better political analysis than this. Oh my god! What was the name of the author again? This is Peter Baker for the New York Times. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, dog. Canada is just gonna definitely be okay. Just fully integrate immediately into the United States. They'll be right there in the 2028 election. Republicans haven't thought about that, five head. Are you fucking kidding me? I like, obviously solidarity with all of my Canadian viewers. Fuck this guy. God. Surely after we invade them, they'll sing the US national anthem. Few in Washington take the prospect all that seriously, of course. Canada has made clear it has no interest in joining the United States, and Mr. Trump seems unlikely to send in the 82nd Airborne Division to thwart the matter. But if the idea appeals to Mr. Trump's grandiose sense of self as an empire-building historic figure, it could also undercut his own party's prospects. I can't. Dog. I can't. Like, I read a few paragraphs of this. I did not read the entire thing prior to this, but you know what? The farther in it I get, the angrier I become. Canada, a land of socialized healthcare, friendly immigration policies, and a commitment to protecting the environment, is not exactly MAGA territory after all. Making it a state, according to some early studies of popular opinion and voting patterns, would almost surely cost Republicans control of the House, trim their majority in the Senate, and make it harder for them to win the White House in future elections. Are you How do you have any credibility, dog? How?
6 months, let's go.
How? Like, every single person involved with publishing this should be, like, barred from ever touching a computer or a smartphone or any electronic device. They should be forced to live in Amish communities for the rest of their days. Okay? Like, these people should not be allowed in polite society. Are you kidding me? Oh, but have you thought about the electoral externalities? Are you... Ah! I can't believe I'm saying this, but I strongly agree with Donald Trump, said former Representative Steve Israel of New York, who headed the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. Canada is largely left of center, and making it the 51st state means more Democrats in Congress. And the Electoral College votes, not to mention providing universal health care and combating climate change. What the fuck is wrong with you? No, this is real. This is an actual piece in the New York Times. This is real. It's Israel. Are you sure that's not the New York Onion? No, it's the New York Times. I checked. Oh, God. Ah! I am so upset. With 40 million people and 3.8 million square miles, Canada would instantly become the largest and most populous state in the Union. Fuck off! Dog! Like, there is a part of me that directly connects this to the entire ineptitude of the Democratic Party. You know, it's like an Ouroboros. It's just feeding on itself, shitting into its own mouth constantly. And like, they read this stuff and they're like, huh, you're right. We should go Donald Trump into invading Canada. That will be great for our electoral chances. And it's just like, what the hell is wrong with you? You're the opposition party. Oppose! Oppose them! Oh my God. Yeah, New York 2 did also notably produce George Santos, so they've always been a little bit cooked. That being said, let's continue. Whether Mr. Trump understands that absorbing Canada might be self-destructive for the Republican Party is not clear. He has never been particularly engaged by party building, nor demonstrated much concern about what happens politically after he leaves office. During the Dog. Okay. Not to tip my hand a little bit for like segments that I have planned for later in the evening, but real quick, we gotta talk specifically about yeah, when this guy leaves office, brah. When this guy who's quoting fucking Anders Breivik slash Napoleon, yeah, when this guy leaves office, dog, he's not thinking about the consequences. He's literally going out in front of the country and announcing his intention to break the law in order to save the country. And you think he's going to leave office? The guy who did a coup last time? Are you fucking stupid? And I know that's rhetorical. Yes. You're stupid. He'll really regret this when Robert Mueller finally gets him. During the campaign last year, he told Christian supporters that you won't have to vote anymore after electing him in November. Huh, what a fool! What a goddamn fool! He didn't think about the political future of the Republican Party when he said that. He didn't think about the future of the Republican Party when he said you would never have to vote again. He didn't take into account the 2028 elections. Obviously. Unless, he's implying he's not going to leave office, Peter. God damn it. sorry, the stereotype accent. I'm literally from Minnesota. You can't tell me that people don't talk like this because I've literally heard people talk like this. That's number 1. And number 2, I wasn't trying to do a Midwestern accent. I was trying to do a buffoonish accent. And, maybe that says something in my psyche that I related it to people who talk like that in my area. But you know what? I'm doubling down. I'm gonna make it even stronger now. Of course, if that were to happen, it would be a political boon for Democrats, said Douglas Hay, a longtime Republican strategist. But that's not really even part of the discussion. Trump depends on the loud noises getting a reaction, and his batting record there is pretty high. Indeed, Mr. Trump talk of annexing Canada appears to be a way of trolling his northern neighbors as part of his pressure for trade and other concessions. Except, I'm a pause you right there. Um, he hasn't gotten any concessions. In fact, he hasn't even issued any demands. When asked what he wanted in to drop the whole tariffs on Canada thing, he said nothing. There was nothing they could offer him. God. Brilliant ploy to get exactly 0 things, sir. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada told a group of business leaders in comments that leaked out that he did not consider it a joke, but in fact a real thing. All 13 of Canada's provincial and territorial premiers traveled to Washington this past week as part of a joint mission to strengthen Canada US relations and defuse the trade war that Donald Trump has begun. After the meeting, James Blair, a deputy White House chief of staff, said online that when it comes to Mr. Trump's comments on Canada becoming the 51st state, officials there should take what he says at face value. But the notion of Canada as a state, however farcical and unlikely, has, like the thing is, just pause, just time out on this real quick. It's only farcical to America's political elite. It is not a joke to the people of Canada. The people who are being threatened with invasion. It's not a joke. It only seems like it to out of touch liberals who write long think pieces that completely lack thought in the New York Times. Oh, God. But the notion of Canada as a state, however farcical and unlikely, has intrigued the political class and been a source of parlor games in Washington. With 40 million people and 3.8 million square miles, Canada would instantly become the largest and most populous state in the Union, beating out all other 50 states combined in landmass and slightly topping California in population. Ah! Canada would also be even bluer than California politically, judging by past trends. Fuck off! Like, what were those hats? Those were hats designed to say Canada is not for sale in response to MAGA trying to buy Canada, acquire Canada. God. It's just a troll. These people should be excised out of polite society. Canada would also be bluer than California politically, judging by past trends. Nearly 2/3 of Canadians, or 64%, told pollsters that they would have voted for Kamala Harris, while just 21% said they would have supported Mr. Trump, according to a survey by polling firm Legger. If Canada had 55 electoral college votes based on its population, that would have boosted Mrs. Harris's total from 226 to 281. Mr. Trump would still have won the 312 electoral college votes, but such a change would leave less margin for future Republicans, who would start each race assuming an additional 55 electoral college votes in the Democratic base. Then why are you talking about it? Guys, I'm just going to pause right here and say something again that I've said previously in our trying times that we're currently in. When I was young, I did not understand how wide-ranging the violence of the French Revolution became. But like, as every single day goes by, I'm understanding how the business pitch for the guillotine became a much better idea as time went on. You know, I'm starting to get it a little bit more. That entrepreneurial spirit of the revolutionaries, I'm starting to understand it. Because this is fucking insane. It's fucking insane. The people who were involved in publishing this should feel ashamed at going out in public and putting their names and faces attached to this. God. Oh, but if we invaded Canada, think of the electoral college possibilities. Fuck off. Fuck all the way off. Just for clarification, not saying that we should do a French Revolution, just saying I understand it a bit better. As, like, you know, someone with a historical degree or minor in a historical field. There we go. The bigger impact would be the House. John A. Tours, a professor of political sciences at LaGrange College in Georgia, analyzed what it would mean if 10 Canadian provinces were collectively brought in while the 3 Canadian territories were treated.
To low settle Canada take us Maple Daddy.
Take us Maple Daddy? Yeah. Oh, God. What if the 10 Canadian provinces were collectively brought in while the 3 Canadian territories were treated by the United States as it treats its own territories like American Samoa, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands, which have no votes for president? Why do they bother wondering about this shit? Unironically, it's for a couple of reasons. Number one, they're bored. And so for them, and number two, they just view this as a game. It's not real to these people. They have no skin in the outcomes. This guy, Peter, whatever his name is, Peter, I want to say Peter Brenner, but I know that's a character from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Peter Baker. He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine in his mind, regardless of what happens. It doesn't matter that, like, if things really go south, that, like, eventually this winds up on his doorstep, you know? Doesn't matter. They just don't think it's real. They are in their bubble. You know, Did any of you ever watch the movie Elysium? Um, it had Matt Damon in it. He plays a worker who gets injured in a construction accident, and he gets like a black market like uh, what's it called, exoskeleton, and then he breaks into like the bubble that all of the elites live in space or whatever. They all live in that space bubble. They are all they view themselves as above it all and completely independent of what the little people on the ground do. And it's the exact same thing. You know, it's the exact same thing. Also, that movie is not subtle with its allegory, but it's very fun. You guys should watch it. It's good. I think it was not appreciated enough when it came out, but it's very, very good. Let's finish this. The bigger impact would be on the House. Wait, I already did that one. In that case, Republicans would lose their narrow majority in the House, according to Mr. Torres's calculations, which are based on the assumption that the number of seats would be increased to accommodate the new population, as was done regularly during the 19th century. Instead of winning 220 to 215 as they did in November, Republicans would have handed the gavel to Democrats, who would have a majority of 246 to 234. The members would be different if the current size of the House were maintained and its 435 seats simply redistributed based on population has been done over the past century, but the trend would be similar. If Canada were admitted as a single state, as Mr. Trump seems to envision, then its 2 Senate seats would presumably go to the Democrats. The Republicans' current 53 to 47 majority would be trimmed to 53 to 49. Not enough to change control of the chamber, but enough to make it harder for Mr. Trump to govern. These... What are you doing? Like, dog, how do you like get up and look at yourself in the mirror as Peter Baker? And like, this is what you did with your time. Are you like, fuck, man? If each of the Canadian provinces were admitted as a separate state, then Turris figures that 5 new Senate seats would go to Republicans from the most conservative parts of Canada, 2 from Alberta, 2 from Saskatchewan, and 1 from Manitoba. And 15 from the other provinces would go to Democrats, flipping control. Yeah, because, you know, that's exactly how this would all work. When we're talking about invading Canada by an invasion being done by a fascist dictator. This is, guys, to give you an idea of what this would be like. This is like some German mainstream press outlet writing about how like the fool Hitler hasn't taken into account like the electoral possibilities that invading Austria will open up. Yeah, oh man, what if that fool thinks we'll just invade France and the electoral situation won't change? Are you fucking kidding me right now? They literally did that! That's why I was using it as an example! They literally did it! Oh, God. Isn't that what happened? Yes! The interesting part about that is that's what's actually happening. And I just want to say, we're getting to that later. His forecast, of course, is founded on the assumption that every conservative party in Canada would go to Mr. Trump's Republicans and that Democrats would be able to build a coalition off the several Canadian parties to the left of conservatives, both of which are logical, if not certain inferences. Mr. Turs, who wrote about an earlier version of his analysis, said he's gotten feedback since then from Canadians. They aren't happy with Trump's tactics and threats, but some joked that they would appreciate the opportunity to take over our politics by giving votes to the Democratic Party to make us more them politically, he said. Guys, I'm so mad. I'm so mad. And I don't know how to verbalize it in a way that's productive. Oh my god. I want to be able to like give you guys more quips, but I'm just too angry. You know? like oh god. Honestly, this entire time, this is just like the vibe I've been feeling in my head. You know, like just that on repeat. It's just that on repeat throughout this entire article. All right. It could, however, become even more complicated. Douglas B. Sosnick, a longtime Democratic strategist, said it was possible that Quebec, which has already come close to seceding from Canada over the past decades, would be so disturbed at annexation by the United States that it would declare its independence at last. And it's like, what are you doing? What is this? How? What made you like this? What cruel, vindictive God has wrought this? Are you kidding me? Yeah, dog, this is all under the assumption that this is just America annexing Canada. No problem. It's not like they have a military. It's not like they have allies. And you know, they'll Quebec will just, you know, I think if Quebec can secede from the United States, then surely the rest of Canada could also secede from the United States. Wouldn't that beg the question of the rest of the Canadian territories seceding? And that being the case, would that not mean you would have to bring them back by means of force? I just you know, they bump into us and they just give it a polite, oh, sorry. How do people this stupid put on their pants in the morning? I'm genuinely asking. The Democrats would control Vancouver and Ontario province, but that's it with the rest of what is left of Canada supporting the Republicans, he said. None of the provinces actually want to join the United States, though, which is a real big problem for your entire argument. Why? Ah. Among all Canadian adults, just 15% support becoming part of their southern neighbor, while 77% oppose it, according to a YouGov survey. Even among conservatives, just 23% favor the idea, while 73% do not. So, based on that, at least Mr. Trump should not get his hopes up, and neither should the Democrats. But it does not mean they cannot dream. Fuck you, Peter Baker. Canada is blue, Mr. Israel said. We'll take all the help President Trump wants to give us. I cannot express adequately my rage that, guys, it's not just one guy at the New York Times who writes this and like gets it to publish. There's like a publication process. And guys, you might think, oh, well, this is just some op-ed written by some nobody at the New York Times, right? This must be like some piece written by like some crazy, like, political operative who's just wandering around Washington, D.C. like a vagrant. Guys, I don't know how to break this to you. I don't know how to break this to you, okay? I don't know how to break it to you. I'm Peter Baker is the chief White House correspondent for the New York Times. He is covering his 6th presidency and sometimes writes analytical pieces that place presidents and their administrations in a larger context and historical framework. This guy is the main guy at the New York Times! Ah! Oh, God. So, yeah. If any of you wondered what the entire show was going to be about, we're going to get there. Everything is still bad, but I wanted you to know that this exists so you could also be angry at it and about it with me, because I can't be alone. I can't be alone in my recognition of how bad this piece is. Oh, God. Uh,
the worms are back. The worms are back.
yeah, RFK Jr. spreading the brainworms throughout all the Washington Post editorials and the New York Times writers.